we are in East County, beautiful Ramona. We're off the beaten path a little bit here at Milagro Farm Winery. What sets this winery apart from many other wineries in the area is not only is this a sustainable winery, they have their own well, they crush and harvest all of their own grapes. This is very unique for wineries nowadays because so many grapes are being imported and brought in from other locations. One of the reasons we are here is because Jim Hart is a fabulous winemaker, and we're going to go over his property and talk about some of the wines that he makes. This is winemaker Jim Hart. Very grateful to carry your wines at our restaurant, and it's an honor to be here with you, and I'm very thankful to have the opportunity to work with you.
Vice versa. We enjoy being there, and we enjoy the partnership that we seem to be developing.
Milagro Farms is just minutes away from the restaurant. I believe it took us about 12 minutes to get down here. What's really great about our location and Milagro Farms location is literally how relatively close we are. It allows our guests to be able to sample their wines and come down and actually taste it. What days are your tasting rooms open?
We're open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 to 5.
Okay. And
then by appointment. If somebody wants to call us and make an appointment, they can also come down. But generally those 3 days.
Okay. So tell me about what we're tasting. This is a Barbera grape?
Actually Barbera, and we're standing amongst the Barbera, which is kind of fitting here. The Barbera, we have about 1,000 vines. Barbera is from the Piedmont region of Italy. Makes a nice fruity wine, but it has multiple gold medals. So we're particularly proud of this wine. It's grown right here, and I think this is one of the wines we're doing right now that's showing best, but we have some other nice things as well.
What makes the grape so special? Like, what is it about here in Ramona that makes that flavor pop?
Barbera is a wine that needs a warmer climate, which of course we have here. I wouldn't characterize this area as hot, but it is warm. It needs cooler nights, which we have. And it's one of those wines that a lot of the wines we make in Southern California, we've got to add a little acid to adjust things to get the numbers right, to make wine. This is one that you'll never have to add acid to. It seems to be well suited to the climate here, and I think the medals kind of show the potential for Barbera here. This is actually our first vintage, so the sky's the limit as far as this wine's concerned.
Okay, I like it. It's very enjoyable. Okay, so here we are again, still in the Milagro Farms Vineyard. One of the things we were having a side discussion on just momentarily was we were talking about food and wine, and how the step one talking about sustainability is when you eat local, you're being sustainable, but you take it one step further. If you're going to eat local, you should be drinking local too. They complement each other. They go hand in hand. What grows local can not only impact what goes in your mouth to eat, but as well to drink. How do you feel about the topic of local wineries?
Well, I think that a lot of people don't know that there are real well-made local wines, and you know, when a region's developing, there's always going to be 1 or 2 wineries that maybe are still kind of in a learning curve as to what kind of wines they should make. Maybe their winemaking isn't up to the standards one would expect, and people taste a local wine, they get maybe turned off to local wines, and then they don't come back and try them. But there are some wonderfully made local wines and there's more and more coming up. Us, for example, everything we make in this winery is estate grown, so we're kind of unique in that respect. We do make a couple of wines that we don't grow, but everything is grown here. We're trying to farm this property and make it sustainable in that everything is done in-house. We water from our own wells. We have our own crew of local people that help us in the vineyards. We're kind of self-contained here, and we have to be because of where we are up in the mountains.
So I noticed you have roses at the end of all of the vines, all the rows of grapes. What's distinguishing? What do they mean? What are they for?
Well, honestly, here they're kind of decorative, but traditionally roses are kind of a harbinger of disease in a vineyard because of the similar leaf size and shape, and they'll get mildew and fungal diseases just like grapevines do. So
really,
traditionally you would look at your rose bushes at the end of your vine rows, and if you saw some mildew developing there, you knew that you had to do something in your vineyard to deal with that problem. So they're decorative, they look pretty, but that's why you see roses in vineyards, because of because of the mildew and fungus indicator that they provide.
So is this the eucalyptus tree?
No, it's an olive tree. We have citrus on the property. We have apples, and we have quite a few olives. Last year we made 30 gallons of a real nice olive oil. We had it pressed up in Temecula for us, and we'll be selling that at the winery. But olive trees and grapevines kind of go together, so oftentimes they're planted close to grapevines. They live in the same type of climate, and they kind of complement the wine thing that we've got going.
How do olives bloom? Or like do they blossom like an apple, or do they?
They flower, and then they'll pollinate. They're pollinated by bees, and then they'll produce fruit. I don't see any on this tree, but if you go other parts of the property, you're going to see some quite a good crop developing in some of the trees.
I'm gonna have to try to purchase some olive oil from you, because
we'd love to.
We use it for our local halibut. We just got an order for today, and we use it in salad dressings and a bunch of other things.
I'd love to sell you some olive oil and get it up there. We only have a little bit, but we certainly can get some in, and we can have you try it out and see how it works for you. But it is actually quite nice.
All right, Jim. So I got to ask you, what is all this stuff on the ground? What is this doing here? Are these leaves, or
They are. You know, grapevines don't just grow themselves. They're a lot of work. It's farming, so we've got to go through and we open up the canopy. So what we do is we pull off non-fruit bearing shoots. We open up the canopy to get airflow to the berries so we can control disease. And also we need to get this netting up. You probably haven't seen netting in every vineyard you've visited, but in Ramona we've got to really net everything. And the netting's to keep flying birds from eating the berries.
Ah, okay.
So that's what we're doing right now. We're cleaning the vineyard up, getting our netting up to protect the fruit from the flying birds and also the turkeys that live around here, wild turkeys. So,
very interesting.
we're kind of farming in the wilderness here, so it's a little extra precaution to actually grow fruit up here.
So this is, I like this. Another question. What is, some vineyards in orchards, I've noticed they have cannons, they have sound effects.
We use those, but they don't, you know, what the cannons will do will scare the birds off and then they'll fly right back. So this is a barrier, so this is a lot easier. Plus we've got 110 acres of property here, and our vineyards are spread out all over that 110 acres, so we'd have to have quite a few cannons.
So after I have people who come up for lunch, and they have some of your wine, and they come down to Milagro. What is their experience? What is it that comes from that?
Well, hopefully they have a good time. What we do is you have some 2-for-1 coupons in your restaurant that you can give your guests. They come down and they get free tasting for one of the two, and you know, they kind of, I think it's that connection. They had a bottle of wine with their food up there, but there's not the connection to place, and they come down here and they can look out the window and see where the grapes are grown. They can look back here and see our tanks and barrels and see where the wine is made. Hopefully they can meet the winemaker if I'm here, and I think it kind of solidifies that relationship between the wine and the place that it's made.
What is a normal day for a guy like you?
There is no normal day for a winemaker. That's kind of the cool part of this profession. It's not you're going to go to work and you're going to do the same thing every day, because winemaking is one of the few professions, I think, that still exists where you work around the seasons. Like, you're a farmer, but you're also an artisan, and you're also a scientist. So, I mean, some days I might be working in the cellar, which is what I'm going to do as soon as you guys leave, which means working with the wines and barrels. During crush, I'm here 7 days a week for, 10, 15 weeks. Every day I'm here when you have to monitor everything that's going on. Right now we're going to be doing a lot of vineyard work. We're doing what I showed you earlier in the vineyard, and we're looking at how the crop is developing, how the fruit is developing. We're deciding if we need to drop fruit. So it's just it's continuously changing. When you get up in the morning, it's kind of like, some days you'll have your day planned out when you go to work, but most days it's just, hey, what am I going to do today type of thing. And sometimes it's reacting to things, but usually it's something different every day. I'm sure it's a lot like being a chef. There's a creative side to it. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about that.
Well, much like you, it's a lot of adapting. It's a lot of adapting to what goes on. Your environmental conditioning is what really shapes what you have to do that day. And right. It's like you said, it's very different than what a lot of people may see or are used to, and right. It's foreign to them. We were talking earlier about the water. We were talking about you having your own well. My question to you is, being involved with sustainability, a concern of mine and many others is they see you, or they see businesses that they think use a lot of water. What is an appropriate watering cycle here at the winery? How often do you water?
What a lot of people don't realize is that grapes are very drought tolerant. They don't use a lot of water.
Really?
Historically, well, the wine industry goes way back in Southern California, but recently a lot of farming in Southern California has been avocados. Well, what you're seeing is a lot of those avocados being taken out and replaced by vineyards.
No kidding.
And that's because grapevines don't take a lot of water. We are able to supply all the water we need from our own wells here. We have several wells on the property, and we water in the heat of the growing season. The longest we'll water is about 6 hours a week in any one block of vines. It's all on drippers. They get about 2 gallons per hour, and so it's not a lot of water. So grapevines are, I mean, if you're talking about a crop that fits in this climate, in this semi-arid climate that we live in, wine grapes are the perfect crop. They don't take a lot of manipulation of the soil. They don't take a lot of herbicides or invasive chemicals to farm, and they don't use a lot of water. So when you see a grape vineyard, you know, you can rest assured that it's not having a big impact on the environment.
What I really like about your Chardonnay is not only the nose and the flavor of it, but being that wine is something that affects your senses on all levels. It really takes me back to culinary school, to my days in San Francisco, where I would sit down and I would taste different wines from across the world. And it has that quality to it, and that foundation that really stands, and it speaks to a great wine that would be recognized.
Thank you. Sounds like you like my Chardonnay. One of the things we are doing here, I think a winery needs to have whites and reds. We have 3 whites. We have a Sauvignon Blanc that's just wonderful, multiple award-winning Sauvignon Blanc. We have a Pinot Gris that we've made that's quite nice as well. And then we've made this Chardonnay. This was the first wine we made here. We've been making it since 2006. I try to make a food style Chardonnay. It's done primarily in stainless steel, so you still get a lot of the fruit. It isn't muddied up too much by a lot of oak. There's a little bit there, but you taste the fruit, and I think that's the way Chardonnays need to be made in Southern California. It's the actual winery here, so you're in the production part of the facility.
Okay. So what's cracking? What's going on in these big bad boys?
Well, actually nothing right now. They're all kind of waiting for harvest. We're starting in about a month, but these are where we do our white wine fermentations. We do a lot of our settling and fining. We'll do finishing of wines. So this is kind of one of the things that I think sets us apart from some of the other local smaller wineries. We have this kind of equipment here, so it's all shiny and neat looking, but it also serves a real important function. It allows us to make some of the, especially white wines. You really can't make white wines without stainless steel tanks like this with temperature control.
Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc?
A Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio, Chardonnay, and then we also make a nice dry rosé. Last year we made it from Cabernet Franc. It was wonderful. And the apple wine that we make was done in these as well. So